That's the hazard of doing that. That is the deterrent. And the question, though, that comes up is how will that be enforced? Because the president was clear in terms of what sort of engagement with the United Nations he supports and what engagement he does not. But how do you enforce something like that? Do you enforce it by cutting off funds? I mean, remember, the United Nations headquarters is on prime Manhattan real estate. Every time I'm going in to the airport, if I'm going to LaGuardia, every time, if I'm going into JFK, and I have to go over the bridge either near anywhere, if I'm in Midtown and I'm going across the bridge, we always have to pass the United Nations building, huge complex, huge structure, prime real estate right there by the river. And the United Nations exists at the mercy of the United States. I mean, we're the biggest backer of the United Nations. And so I don't know how he would enforce reform if just to remind them what they are, a democratic forum. Is it just to remind them if whether or not they're a democratic forum, or just to cut off funds entirely and make it to where they can't do anything? That's the big Jeebus. That's the big question. We're going to talk more about that. We have that to get into, and also the Georgia Tech rioting, because someone wanted to commit and was successful in committing suicide by cop. We'll have that as well. Nancy Pelosi, there's a video that I thought was very, very telling as to the future of the Democrat Party, and really their perception by other individuals, particularly their base. So Nancy Pelosi, and we'll have this as well, she was shouted down by dreamers. She was shouted down by dreamers over the deal with Trump. So we'll have that as well for you. And then, of course, we have ranked top 5, and I will announce that coming up. We have our top 5 category, our ranked top 5, and so much more. In the meantime, let's kick it into some quick 5.
It's a quarter after the hour, and time for Dana's Quick 5.
All right. So the president had said yesterday that we might have a parade in Washington next.
Ready to go, baby. Now, are we able to? Yes, sir.
What's up, big brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
Hey.
We are live, folks. That's right. We are on podcast.
Long day, brother.
Hey.
This program is not pre-recorded.
Sheesh.
And we're getting off to a late start here tonight. A little bit different night here, but I'm so glad to have Jacob here. Jacob is on the studio. My name's Skip Ronaldus, and we got the big dude on the phone here with us, big dude Stephen Davis. And Jimmy chimed in yet? I'm not sure if he has, but I'm sure he'll be getting in here with us soon enough. So, you're there? He's here. All right. We're all here together.
Is it Grizz there?
Yeah.
Georgia State, obviously, we lit the scoreboard up. But are we ready? What are you guys' thoughts on this first Big Ten game? Like, do we have enough information? Do we still need to know about the O-line? You know, what? Go ahead. Well, go ahead, Skip. Skip got something. Go ahead, Skip.
I do. What I want to do here real quick is
go ahead, Skip.
We want to welcome everybody out there who's seen us live online. I think we get a lot of people listening to us. We are now streaming on the internet, guys. So I want your code to try to pick that back up here, folks. You're listening to Lions Live. You got your code Israel. Big dude Stephen Davis. You got the Grizzlies. Rival Best, and we are talking some football here. And your code was just bringing up some good points here.
I'll go ahead. So No, hey, and I'm like I said, guys, it's always great, man. I'm loving all of my Letterman guys. It's always a bonus, and oh yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys, based on our first 3 games, you know what I mean? We're going into the Big Ten versus Iowa. We're away 7:30 at night. And it's a white out for them, a yellow out for them. It's their biggest game of the season. How do you guys feel we are going into this? Do you feel like we know what we got, or are you guys still unsure about certain things? Like some people said last week, versus Pitt, our offensive line. Then some people said versus Georgia State, we didn't establish a run game. And maybe some people have said, well, McSorley, was overthrowing some passes. So, what are your guys' thoughts from these first 3 games? Now we're about to get into the meat of our schedule, starting with Iowa, going into Indiana. Just what are your thoughts on these first 3 games?
Jimmy? Yeah, I'm here. What it is I think right now we have the guys started out, and I think right now we play guys who want to knock us off the throne. But when it's all said and done, I think the real battles start now. Basically we had the in-state battle between Pittsburgh versus Penn State. Other than that, and that was the in-state. The guys had a chip on their shoulder because they beat us last year, overtime game and everything else. But we was expected to win versus Akron, and just like we was expected to win this past week versus Georgia State. So now, based a little bit, based on what I've seen so far, I'm a little scared to pick Penn State versus Iowa right now. Only because, I'm going to tell you why. Only because Iowa is tested, and they really don't have a lot of big-time receivers and stuff like that. And where they're strong at is where we're not weak, but where we still need to develop. Like, for example, Iowa versus Iowa State was a good battle. That went down to the wire and so on. And I know Iowa will have a couple of guys make a couple of big catches and so on. But overall, they're running the ball. Georgia State had a little bit of success on us running the ball early on. Pittsburgh had a little bit of success on us running the ball. Yeah. So now, when you have a Big Ten team conference play, who's coming in battling, who's not coming in, we're going to them. It's a whiteout game. It's a night game. So now they got home field advantage. And we haven't truly established the run. Now, Barkley is making a lot of noise. He's going out, he's doing his thing, so on. He's putting up some decent numbers between catching the ball and so on. But overall, we haven't established a ground and pound. Let's milk the clock. Because that's how we need to beat Iowa. We need to go out there, try to get up 2 scores, and then milk the clock. Period. And just keep pounding the ball out, not keep taking the chance. If we go out and beat Iowa on their turf and so on, 21-24, 24-14, 24-10, 24-12, something like that, then great. But I think they're going to come out because they have a few things on their side. First off, they run the ball well. Second off, it's going to be their home turf, night game. The boys going to be hyped up for it, a whiteout stadium and so on. And then you get the chance to go against the defending Big Ten champions. So that's going to play a part. And they've already been battle tested by better talent than what we have. You understand? So it goes back to the stuff that we talked about before in the past about you're not as good as you think you are, and you're not as bad as you think you are. But with that being said, is with exception to Pittsburgh, I say this right here. If Connor, the running back who's with the Steelers right now, if he was still there at Pittsburgh, playing, for the Panthers, do we win that game so easy?
Yeah. And just to jump in on, just to jump in real quick, Skip and I, we were at practice earlier just talking about what you just said. And we said, we jumped on Pitt early. Now, you take the middle of that, like the end of the first, the second, and the third, and the beginning of the fourth, and you take out that 14-0 lead we had, then it's a totally different game. You know what I'm saying? Because we jumped out on Pitt 14-0, but then we ended up winning the game 34-14.
Right. Well, we talked to Coach Booker Brook, who was there also, and it really Pitt actually beat themselves when they played us. The 3 turnovers killed them. What impressed me with Pitt, and what we talked about is what I see some of where areas Penn State needs to work was our defense, because Pitt, if you remember during that second quarter, winding it down to the end, they had a long sustained drive all on the ground. They didn't have to pass the ball. They just kept pounding on the ground and ate up the clock. So my biggest concern, if I was going to play that traditional football, we talked to Coach Brook at practice today, they haven't changed much. They changed coaches. It's that still same smash mouth, pound the ball on the ground, pass when you have to type of offense. And that's a concern we have because I can't hear him at all. You can't hear me at all, Jimmy. How about that? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
Okay.
I think I did. Well, Skip, let me just say this. I definitely agree with y'all for sure, across the board. I actually did not get an opportunity beyond highlights to see much in this last game. I was locked up somewhere where I couldn't do it. I was at a dinner party, and the TV on. I was greeting on people pretty hard. But the thing about it is, listen, I do realize a couple of things. That, first of all, I think we got to understand that it's going to take at least 3 games to get something together, like a certain running game. I think, now that we have an offensive line that's all playing together, we have a few things, and people don't realize how important it is to have at least not quite seasoned at center. We have a center, no excuses, but as a sophomore, he's learning to be the quarterback of that offensive line. I think that at there are times when you got to go ahead and got to be definitive about certain things that you do, and everybody's got to be definitive right behind you. So, we had the benefit of that, and he was behind Dyer last year. Okay, he did. He played some good ball. And I think as time went along, as we saw last year, they gelled and they were able to do it. I think the issue here is, outside of everything else, I think the only thing we need to recognize is that, Saquon Barkley used to be the best kept secret in the world. Now, what we know is, and what I saw, everybody that knows that Barkley's in the backfield, and I guess, Jimmy, this is one thing we figure out how to do it, is if everybody knows Barkley's in the backfield and what he can be, they're going to put 8 blocks and take their chances. That's what they're going to do. Penn State's got the receivers, got the other things, got the weapons. If you have 8 men in the box, you got to figure out how to take him out of it. And I think, trying to make sure that you run against 8 men in the box the whole time after a while, I think that the key was to get through these games, be glad you're done with them, get done some things, and I think we can pick it apart because we all came from that area, and that's what Penn State did, But now you have a situation where, especially with this back, and the other ones are solid. You don't want Saquon Barkley hurt either. So I'm not so sure you want to give him the ball 20, 25 times a game, even against those teams. It's like, okay, he should be able to give it against those other teams. But I think all the elements are coming together. While I have some concerns and the same concerns, I just feel better about, again, the depth that we built. Now, we played Iowa last year, and to add to what you all said with this layout situation, we beat Iowa last year. We smoked them 41-14 and almost gave them 600 yards. And they only had 30 yards rushing, so they do have a lot to prove. And that was a team that wasn't even as deep as this one. So I think as we look along, I look at, and, you know, Jimmy's right. They play again. They didn't play by earth-shattering. Iowa State, pretty solid team. Texas, they beat them 31-14. Wyoming, their program isn't there. They get it done. So I don't know. I think that they have some of the same concerns as well, and they've got a couple of tough wins. And I just was saying to still be patient. I still think we'd be Iowa. We're running the ball a little bit more. And helping that line gel just a little bit more. But that'd be a question I ask y'all to put the coaches' hats on. I don't know how it was in the league, Jimmy. I guess you got to figure it out. But everybody else was putting 8 men in the box. What is they going to run for so long? And the question is, you know, the new experience line is going to be able to try to make dents in. Because you got 8 men in the box, you dominate too many people up front. But you got to start putting dents into it, and you got to start taking the hacks out of it a little bit at a time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to rely on the rest of it here when they're doing. The question is, where is it that it's going to take to get people to take 8 men in the box? Because if I play Penn State, I'll take 8 in the box and take it so just run out. So it's about how they play. But then if you give them the ball 25 times a game, it might be good, but it may not be so good. You know, as you look at the season and you look at the stretch they have. I mean, it almost seems strategic, which, you know, concerns me a little bit because you have these other backs. I really feel about how we can take some chunks out of that 8 in the box.
You know, the thing about that, big dude, is it's not just about the 8 in the box. Here's what reality is right now. We are only moving the ball right now between our 3 stars. Gesicki, right now, you know, he'll catch, you know, he'll get a touchdown and so on. Overall, I'm talking about in the big games and so on, though we haven't had them yet, even with these first 3 games. If Chase ain't running the ball, we haven't Barkley running the ball, or he's catching the screen or wheel route out of the backfield or so on, whatever. You know, he's just a playmaker. Gesicki, you know, he had a couple of touchdowns and so on. He's a nice tight end. Only gets hours, you know, style and so on. Not a huge blocker and so on. So right now, like you said, if Barkley's in the backfield, yeah, you're gonna put it in you're gonna put 8 in the box. But here's the reality: when it's 8 in the box, who's going to be the receiver? Who's going to be the receiver to be consistent outside of Gesicki? You know, for, you know, you double him up or so on, you keep on the line of scrimmage, or you jam him with a defensive end or so on, or whatever, so you can slow him up. Johnson, I expect him. He got great size, but he has to be consistent so far. You know, right. And against lesser talent, our guys haven't shown up. And I'm not taking a shot because I understand numbers is called, but understand this. When you start playing certain games and so on, like, you know, obviously we're speaking from the past right now, we had greater talent. We had better guys. We had guys who get accolades and so on because they're going against the less talent. And it's like, man, you know what? This is the game where we get to padding our stats. You know what I'm saying? So understand this, you know, versus a Georgia State, I expect Johnson to have, you know, 150 yards, you know, receiving. You know, I expect that. I expect, you know, it's not, if Gesicki's gonna have a touchdown or 2 versus Ohio State. You know, Saquon is gonna have, you know, 100+ yards or so on, whatever, versus Ohio State, versus the Michigans and so on. These guys need to show, I mean, they're gonna show up. Chase is gonna play a solid game or so on. Now the difference is, you know, hopefully he doesn't turn the ball over in the bigger games. Just like you said, last year versus Iowa, we put up over 600 yards, you know, close to 600 yards. Who has emerged right now when we need them to versus the lesser talent? And I'm not saying that can't change as we go against, you know, harder talent or so on, the better talent. But right now, that's the only thing I worry about. If you shed our 3 players that we have right now down on offense, the offensive line, whether we're trying to get them to make a dent in the 8-man front or not, they still aren't doing anything. They still aren't consistent with, you know, protecting our quarterback and running the ball and establish dominance.
Well said, Jimmy. Well said. Well said.
No, well said, but I guess and at the same time we were texting each other. I didn't know what was going on. Thank you all for keeping me up to date.
I just don't think it's a time to change. I mean, I think, like you said, I'm not concerned. We're going to find out really, kind of as Jay used to say, this is what toughness is all about. You give me the easy way to go. It's not going to be the easy way to go. Or two, are we the team? I mean, what I realized last year, it's not that we didn't have a good team. We rose to the occasion when we had to. And we don't want to rely on that. But I'm wondering how much those 3 games, which is why I don't care. I don't care to have a 3-game stretch like that. To be honest with you, and they're not in control of the schedule, and you should be up for whoever. In fact, I don't know, Jimmy, when you were team that before you, I saw that we had scored 70 points on Akron one time, 70 from 70 to 24. That one season, the 90 was a 99 team. I guess I was all in there. But the thing about it is, now you can see where that game might not have helped them. You understand what I'm saying? So it's really going to be about week to week. How can we get these guys and know who they are? But still, I think what we have to be fair about it is the team still is establishing an identity. I mean, we're looking at the rankings, and I'm not even looking at the rankings. Whether we're number 4 or 5, I don't even care about that. It's like every week you got to figure out how to get there. And Jay used to say, we got to get as good as we can possibly. And so if we get as good as we can in so many places where we need to, that's what we have to do. We have to look at also what got done in these last couple of weeks too. Like you said, it wasn't all big plays, but there was a lot of. See, I feel good when a lot of people play. That doesn't mean that we know it's going to cut down, but it's not going to be as easy. You know what? It's not supposed to. That's my thing. And looking at in Iowa, we've been to Iowa on the road. Iowa is one of the most difficult places to play. And this is where we are, and I like this game, because it's a night game and everybody's going to see it, and we're going to find out the entire stretch, because we not only have Iowa, we got Iowa, Indiana at home, which is going to be big. But we're going to Northwestern, even though Northwestern, again, is not a great football team. I don't know what it is about that daggone stadium, man. It seems like it's a struggle, especially the last 5-6 years when we go there. So it's really going to be about the leadership and the seniors that we have and some of these other people to bring people to the call, because we still have people, getting established. I mean, we still got Gonzalez in there at guard. He's still pretty young, and you got McGovern at center, and you got kind of Bates. But against Pitt, the one number 8, the one D-line, and gave him a few problems. So I think he found out what it was really about. That somebody's coming at you pretty hard. And they're not used to giving people help and all that. They may have to start giving some of them guys help on the edge, because they were good, but then you're going to have some folks that give you problems. And then maybe the hand from the other guard is going to be interesting with how he uses it. I saw him, and I think he's a good guy. The question is what can you do to strategy? Can you do 3.5 yards of carry? People will take your play extra seriously. That's a lot. They're not going to. My thing is, I would say let's give them a chance, and let's see how everything changes. That 3-game stretch itself, I did not care for it at the end of the season. But they played, they're healthy. I think it's the important part. And I still think that the big play when you get up there, and I made it look 14-0 trying to win the ball. The question is, how balanced are we going to be? That's the issue I think we all have.
Victor, I don't want you to think that I was saying that we're not balanced in the 3-game stretch, because here's what the issue is. Right. Last year, what we had a come from behind team. Right. We had a team that was a one-half team. You understand? Right. It's still, for the most part, we still have a lot of the same guys back. Right. The thing is, right now, in this first 3 games, that wasn't against the lesser talent to a point. We didn't have to play like we played last year in the come from behind the one-half team. I'm not saying we don't have the ability to still know going to halftime down or so on, to deal with adversity and everything else and so on. But in this situation right now, it's not like, what I'm saying is there's top 10 teams that have played against ranked teams and so on, that have played against a little bit greater talent. So it's not like if we were sitting right here and let's say we played Maryland game 2, or let's say we played
not even a Big Ten team, but we played, let's say, Tennessee or someone, like just had something just a little bit more oomph that might be, a player or two away from being in the mix. We haven't played that in Akron and then Georgia State. And I don't knock it because the wins are wins. They all count and so on. I just want to see early before we get to, like right now, think about what I'm saying. If I don't want our first test, which is going to be, against when we put our big boy boots on, our big boy pants on, to be versus Iowa in the Big Ten. Right. But now it's about our conference and our conference wins and so on. So now it's like, all right, well, let's see if we can handle it. All right, now we got to go out and let's say we lose to Iowa. I mean, now it's like, we down one in the Big Ten. Now we got to go to Indiana and so on. Now we're fighting our way out the claw because at worst right now, we can remain, and I'm not saying obviously I'm jumping around here, we could remain Big Ten champions at the end of the year. The goal is obviously to be a national champion, win a national championship, and take it week to week. But I just don't like the fact that we're being tested now here in week 4. We played 4 games already, going to 4 games right now, and we haven't been tested yet. My team, we started out with, I want to say Nebraska, the first game. Now we came out that year, 2012, 2012. We opened up with Nebraska right out the gate.
Capital One. Yeah.
Right out the gate, and it's like, it's like one of those things. Okay, so after that, we went, Akron or someone, lesser town and so on. But we actually went 7 minutes, within our first 3 games. But that first game was I don't think Nebraska wasn't in the Big Ten then, but we opened up with them.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it set the tone. We was tested. We went out there. We took their best shot, and we gave them our best shot. Then it wasn't like the next couple of weeks we took off. But I say this: by the time we went out to Wisconsin, game 4, game 5, we destroyed them out there, and we had 3 different turnovers. Right. So we was already battle tested. Right. So that's what I worry about.
Right, I understand it, but at the same time, like I said, and I get it. We have no control over, and they had no control over who was the what player. I don't know how they drew the straw, but it's like, like you said, every week you got to show up, and I think that every week you graded better, and that's it. And I think we did it some of the future games. I think some of the scheduling would change, and especially when we look at that transition that we did from 2011. It was just surviving on a program. So I say we kind of got stuck in that. What I'm saying is now, I'm in Iowa. I mean, again, they have a fine football team, but we are in a situation where now we should outscore them. Like you said, we should be able to control the football game. This is going to be, based on those guys, the guys on the O-line, the D-line, and especially, on the O-line, trying to make sense of the guys on the D-line, making their plays, hitting their gaps, and making sure the running backs make those plays. It's going to be interesting to see these other guys step up. I think the difference is, too, to me, the defense, I think, has matured. It's not even about, like you said, how much better they have. We really needed them to mature and feel like they can play. They're playing 5 and 6 defensive backs. I never saw us do that. So, again, I think this is about building the depth. Let's see where we've got with building the depth, and then making any changes you want to make. And I see, like I said, with that D-line, hopefully we'll be in a situation where you don't have the blitz that much, and you can get pushed on a quarterback. So those are the things. Hopefully we look at. And I'm looking forward to the senior leadership and carrots.
Yeah. Well, I hope that we can come out of the box. I mean, from the kickoff, right from the start, and not have to wait to try to get ourselves moving ahead here. And you're right. There is something wrong with my microphone. I don't know what that is.
That's
here we
better.
go. Is this better?
That's better.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go, Skip.
Yeah, I was on the wrong one. Here we go. I got them all mic'd
45 minutes later. Good job. Yeah, man. Let's go 45 minutes.
All right.
Don't worry.
Yeah, well, you didn't miss.
So you were talking to the wrong net, Mike.
No, they don't have them numbered here. So I just turned them all.
Yeah. Okay. I was still talking like you. You're talking like you went to Northwestern.
Hey, Chris, you gotta let it out.
Like Mike, Skip, man.
Hey, when you got to say about love you too, you could say that too. You know what I mean? You can tell them about, let it all out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were broadcasting for one sport.
Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. No, what I'm saying is let's try to, from the very start of the game, not start out in slow motion. Let's try to move right from the start. Because Jimmy, you were texting, and I was like, man, what's going to happen here? Because this is a concern. When we started out even with Georgia here last weekend, it wasn't going anywhere fast. It took a while for this thing to get into motion, and we're not going to have the time on Saturday to have that happen. They're going to have to come right out from the very kickoff and go right at it from the very start, because we can't wait for them to shift gears and get things in motion.
Mm-hmm. You know what the thing is, Skip, even when it came to that, it wasn't that we started out a certain way, because I watched that and I agree with texting back and forth about it. The issue that I had about it is we were really trying to run gimmicks and come up with different ways to scheme Georgia State.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like line up and punch them in their mouth.
Right.
Let's run the ball down their throat. It's all. We like trying to get in the second quarterback in and run the reverse and do this. And then screen Barkley and stuff. It's like line up.
Yes.
Put your hand in the dirt and just run them over. Make them tired. Make the first series should have been 15 drives.
And like you said, if we are a legitimate top 10 team, then when you're going against a team that's not even ranked, if it's all legit, we should be able to do what we got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so my thought was just to kind of jump in on all of that. I like everything that I'm seeing offense-wise, and a lot of people are trying to say, 86 team, 82 team, 94 team. We didn't have a shotgun. We didn't have all these things. We were a power team. We were lining up against you, and you knew what we had, and we were coming right after you. But now we got a new coach, a new time, a new era, and now we got a Heisman running back, and we're trying to disguise him. You know what I mean? But that's not what we're used to. We're used to saying we got Curtis Enos. Okay, he's getting the ball 50 times. Or we got Blair, and he's getting the ball 30 times. You know what I mean? It don't matter which way you want to do it.
That's what I'm saying.
We got Kajana Carter. You know what I mean? He's a legitimate running back. We got Larry Johnson. They're getting the ball 30 times a game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But now the dynamic has changed, and we're trying to understand how to deal with it. And my thought is, I just wanted to throw this comment out about Iowa, but as much as we feel, however we feel, Iowa's going to be a good team. They're going to come up against us. But I just want to let everybody know that Iowa was down 14-10 last week. Okay,
yes,
I just want everybody to know that they were down 14-10 in the third quarter. Okay, it was 4 minutes and 29 seconds to go in the third quarter.
Who Iowa played last week?
North Texas at Iowa. They were at Iowa. They were down.
Everybody's getting their stuff together. And look, the first game was what it was. Like I said, it was a boring first game, and it looked like it did that first game. Second game, like Jimmy was saying, there's a lot of emotion, a lot of other things going on. And, we can speculate on several things, but you got through that game, and we controlled that game, as we said. There could have been a couple of changes. But I think we've done a start and also take a look at it. The great news is we've been disciplined. So there's small stuff that I want to look at. If we can keep the penalties down there, then we can keep the turnovers. We can look at McSorley's accuracy and Jermaine Johnson and Deshaun Hamilton. We still have these guys. It's a matter of, like you said, what we're doing if we're good at game plan, when it's a stick to the issue with our offense is, you keep the idea of running the option to take the damn wide receiver. I'm not used to that. I don't know. We do is different thing. The football is different than we threw a touchdown. Some people play this and throw a touchdown to a backup quarterback. But then, if you have a lead, why not even use it? Then And I don't know what people are saying. I mean, some people are saying, hey, like the announcers, it's a good thing that Stevens is playing too, because many people transfer if you don't get involved with the offense. So I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, everybody else had to wait their turn. So what I'm saying is, not just football is different, but the kids are different, the mentality is different, everybody's reaching out and all those other things and getting the people's feelings. Yeah. Hey, let me tell you something. One of the reasons that the player I respect most in Penn State history is Matt Kisner. And I'm going to tell you why. Matt Kisner was on the 86 team too, but he waited all those years until his 5th year to start. Yeah. And he waited until it was time. People don't do that anymore.
Yes. No, that's a great point, big dude. And I wanted to jump on that with the Grizz, because I was talking about that today at the quarterback club, and I'm saying, a lot of people looked at the sanctions and say, well, it was a lot of people that transferred, a lot of people that could have transferred, and they say, well, these guys didn't transfer. They decided to stay with Penn State. But really, Grizz, the time we were there, we had some up and down times, and I don't think anybody was looking to transfer. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the time we was in, we was all committed to Penn State, regardless of what it was, regardless of how we were doing or what they were saying about Joe. We backed up Joe, and we felt like we were going to be there regardless. I never had a thought of transferring, and I've been through 2 losing seasons. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but it's like now the guys feel like they're not even going to get a chance to play, and they want to transfer. You know what I'm saying? It's a different. And I'm just speaking because I was part of 2 losing seasons at Penn State and never thought once in my life. And as a senior, I became an All Big Ten player, but I never once thought to transfer, and I was on 2 losing seasons. Wow. You know what I mean? But now these guys are saying, I don't even get to start one game, and they're talking about transferring.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So like Big Dude was saying, it is a different type now. It's different.
It's amazing to see how the difference in culture has changed even this landscape, because you remember Kyle Baldwin, he's been on our program before, played Penn State and here, and he's coaching now, and I said, he's telling me how he has to try to bribe and beg his kids to try to perform, to try to go out and give it their all. And I was like, you got to be kidding. In our day, if you're not giving it all, you're on the bench. You're done. Yeah. These kids don't know what it is to play with heart. It seems. And I was like, he's trying to tell me how he has a ball bat thing he tries to give out each week to somebody who's the heavy hitter, I mean, he's trying to come up with all these incentives to try to get these kids to go out and perform. I'm like, to me, it's foreign to me. I don't understand it. It's this mentality of this generation. I don't get it.
Here's what the thing is, and I might not be right when it comes to this situation. I think a couple of things is this. The first thing is, when we were playing, our parents and our family and stuff were football. Go ahead, go. You as a parent, as a father, you was proud your son was a starter on the football team, or he played football. It's a toughness and so on. Generations, as time changed, there's an instant gratification that they want in terms of addressing what Yaakov was saying. Like, everyone goes and they want to go display their talent and so on and have a chance to go to the next level, to the pro level. When you become a Penn Stater under Coach Paterno, and I know that will start to change here in with Coach Franklin there, because when you become a Penn Stater, when you get there, Coach Paterno's first thing is to make you conform to the program in education. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is, we all go in there thinking that, hey, we're going to turn pro and so on, and Coach makes you let it be known that, hey, you know what? Pro or not, you still need to have your education. So when we went there, we were literally student athletes. You understand? So everywhere else right now, if you want to win, you go into a program saying, hey, I want to win a national championship, so I'm going to Alabama. I'm going to USC back in the day and so on. they weren't able to talk about their graduation rates and so on. They could just talk about their national championships or a couple of things that they have. Whereas what people always love about Penn State in certain schools, we were respected as a powerhouse program in terms of athletics, period. No matter what it is, wrestling, volleyball, baseball, soccer, field hockey, so on. We were respected as a athletic school, but we were mostly respected because we were an academic school first, who had smart players and so on, who can go out there and still get it done. Now what happens is, it's like, you're not playing, transfer, let me go get the shot get a shot at another program, lesser or whatever the case may be, to become an NFL star or get a chance to get into the league. You know what I'm saying? When we had people transfer, it was literally when we was going through turmoil. We didn't know what was going to happen. So we had guys, Coach Paterno, when he was there, what he provided was longevity. He provided, that he wasn't going to get a change in coaching staff and everything else and so on. This person wasn't going to get fired. Because like, when I look at my NFL career, in 9 years, Jacob, I had 10 head coaches, 10 defensive coordinators, 10 line coaches.
Oh, wow.
In 9 years.
Wow.
You understand? So it goes like this. So guess what happens? Every time someone comes in, from the time that person comes sits in your home, they say, hey, like, for example, when I was coming out, Ed Ogeron was the D-line coach at Syracuse. And everyone knows Ed is. Hey, how's it going, Jimmy? Come on in here. And, he, come to Syracuse. We need you. And then literally before my senior year, he left and went to USC. Here he's telling me, hey, listen now. Everything I told you about Syracuse, I had to say that, I need you to come out here to USC with me. California, the weather. And I'm like, oh man, what?
California.
At the time, if I would have did it, I would have been chasing a national championship. I would have been on a team with, Reggie Bush and those guys, Matt Reiner and so on, probably, or whoever they had. At the time, they had Carson Palmer and so on. So I would have been there with those guys if I would have went. But it's just a different. I was just like USC versus Penn State. It's not even close. It's not even close. It's just like. Yeah, it was like, and then when I broke down, I was just like, all right, Syracuse versus Penn State. It's not even close. Why would I go play for Pasqualoni, Paul Pasqualoni, when he's a Penn Stater? Hold up. You mean to tell me he played on the coach? Why would I go to the student when I could go to the teacher?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point, though. That was
just my mindset, man.
That's a great point.
Well, good points, guys. And you know what? It's that time. We actually have to take a quick station ID break.
We get somebody talking in.
Well, just stand by with us. Station ID. Hold on.
For more, call 1-800-955-4572 or visit lls.org.
News Talk 970 WBLF Bellefonte State College and all new at 106.3 FM W292EC Altoona Bellefonte State College WBLF AM and FM. Depend on it.
All right, we're back here at Lions Live, the only network built by the players for the fans. You're listening to the Grizz Jimmy Kennedy. You got the big dude, Stephen Davis, and Jacob Israel is here in the studios with me and Skip Travelbus here in State College, and we're talking some Penn State football here. Fastest hour of college football. We're not a podcast, and that's not pre-recorded. So all the mistakes we make, you get to see live right on the spot here. And every week it's something. You're not hearing a microphone right or you name it, but hey, we're glad to be talking some Penn State football here. And obviously, there's a concern for us here with this week coming up here with Iowa. So we're going to be getting here to our picks real quick. Does anybody else have any other topics here before we jump in any picks?
Well, let me just say something to just finish up with what Jimmy was saying. Here's why I agree. The last part of it is, and the thing that I see in college
Hey, big dude, we're not hearing you, buddy. Want to try that again?
Can you hear me?
Now you're good.
People who take on graduate transfers that play for a program for 1 year, like Rutgers guy, he's been in school for 4 years, He didn't play the other year of eligibility left and playing his last year at Rutgers. So there's all kind of people who are graduate transfers that go to programs that don't play in programs. Yeah, I mean, that's why I think we're talking about what
Hey, Stephen, you were cutting out there just a second ago again there. You're talking about the graduate transfer from Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's a cell connection or not, or are you still there, buddy?
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Graduate transfer from Rutgers.
There you go.
Yeah, we go. There we go.
So let me say real quick, sorry that we lost a minute. There's a graduate transfer from Rutgers. There's many programs. Here's what I was saying. I finished what Jimmy's saying. The allure of certain programs is they're overtaken. They are overtaken by, people who want to just come in and do something because of what their own expectations are, their own goals. And people are leaving school and they're only providing 1 year, just 1 year of football to a program by being a graduate transfer, and it's happening already.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I just think that's terrible. That people have let it get to that, and we can't let it get to that anymore. I mean, I can't tell a young man, like you said, to play 3-4 years, and then go, like sign again. Nothing against Silas Red, but him making that move, he got to the NFL, but it was nothing at all like he thought it was going to be.
Right. Well, are they actually still making you sit out a year now, or because they're talking about lifting that where you had to sit out a year now? You can just go right to another school. Is that changed?
Yeah, well, it changed it, and that's why you see people that are starting at key positions that are graduate transfers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's just put it number 10. He's a graduate transfer that played 4 years somewhere else, had a redshirt year with the Rutgers as a graduate transfer. That's crazy.
Wow,
I don't get it. It's happening all over. It's an epidemic that I think goes against the grain of what NCAA football is supposed to be all about. Those are the things with the NCAA that I do take issue with when we start talking about the quality of it and what people get out of it. And I have nothing against everybody wanting to make a living in that particular way, but boy, everybody is starting to do it where it is a phenomenon. And I think one that is a phenomenon that does not very well for the football game in college.
Well,
just as well.
I think what's happened, big dude, is the whole idea of being about the money, because the NCAA probably doesn't want to get involved in this issue of trying to hinder somebody's opportunities to, like you say, earn an income playing some ball. So I think that's probably why they've changed that around a lot, which actually it's completely understandable, because, at the end of the day, everybody who's playing a sport is paying for a lot of things that happen at that school that wouldn't be if it wasn't for that sport of football bringing in the revenue it does, from television to the ticket sales to the soda and the hot dogs and everything else, man. I mean, we know, here we got small schools coming in, and this is a good topic too, because what would have happened if we had an Alabama or Miami or West Virginia, or these good rivalry teams that we used to play, starting at the beginning of the season, out like Jimmy said, where you get a good test from the start, instead of these cupcakes. These schools coming here, there's a reason Georgia State came here. There's a reason that Akron came here, because they're walking away with at least a cool million out in their pockets just by coming to do that.
They are. And listen, it's the same way with Morgan State going to Rutgers and getting beat 65-0. Listen, man, those HBCUs, man, they want that check, and they don't have it. And I've been to Morgan State, and actually, those in there, Stan Clayton is coaching there. They do a great job of doing just about everything he can on the field and off the field. And so you don't turn that away, but then, again, it becomes a phenomenon. It becomes about what's exchanged and how much better you can make the school. And you wonder, with that type of money, are people doing what they're supposed to do with it? That's my biggest question.
It's interesting.
I mean,
this is all interesting. This is an interesting topic, because Saturday morning I was down here at the Ramada in State College, and I met somebody with the Georgia State football program, and this girl, basically her job at Georgia State was to bring and basically to court all these investors, these donors into the
Wow.
So they courted them. These people, and I talked to some people who came in. They flew in their jets and stuff like this. So they're pitching them and bringing them along to these games to court them into donating big money into that program. And I found it really interesting that I actually get that out of that girl who was here showing these people around. She's basically a liaison. Because I said, hey, Lincoln State College, wonderful. She told me they went to the tavern the night before. Oh, believe me, these people got the grandiose tour. But the reason they got that is because these people are the ones that are opening up their big wallets here at Georgia State. So they got this is where it's like they're carrying American Express. They get the privileges to come with it, So it's kind of interesting, this whole shake-up and shakedown when it comes to money in sports. Very interesting. I didn't know that dynamic until I just happened to be catching breakfast there that morning before the game.
Yeah, well, there's some pay close attention to it. But I don't want to hold up the picks because we know y'all are trying to I don't want y'all to think I'm distracting y'all from the picks.
Let's
good Chris is always trying to put the pressure on him, man.
Well, looking back at our picks here, let's get some overall scores here. With doing our picks here after 3 weeks, the Grizz is coming in an overall 28-8, and not bad.
Not bad from the West Side. Not bad from the West Side. From the West Side. Hey, you a little further away, so we got a little mercy for you. We got a little mercy for you.
Oh yeah, man, it's a long.
Ain't getting all the inside information. Nah, I'm just messing, Grizz. Hey, I got the.
Hey, well, it's Grizz. It's your turn now because your Cove's coming in at 27-9.
Oh. Hey, that must have been that Lovey, Grizz. You ain't getting with me on Lovey, man.
Never ever.
And then we got Stefan here. He's at 29-7. And I'm surprisingly, I'm actually at 30-6.
Oh, Skip leading the pack.
Imagine a little
kicker.
A little kicker.
Oh, he got the home field advantage. He the home field.
No. I don't get a problem.
No, I'm just teasing.
Hey, but you know what? Coach Booker Brook, he's up there every day.
Yeah, he's impressive, Skip.
I'll tell you what, interesting. We were talking to him, and there's a little side note here.
Right on point, too.
This guy has been on the field over 70 years with football. This guy here is a diehard. We got to get him in here sometime.
No, I agree.
He is awesome.
We got to get him on.
So 70 years worth. So, but we're moving to this week. We only got 7 games this week, so it's not going to be too bad. But there's going to be some harder picks. Some of them anyway. So starting out this week here, we have at UNLV at Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah,
everybody's OSU.
Hey, listen, man, UNLV lost to Howard, man. Let's keep it moving.
Okay. UCF at Maryland. That could be an interesting game.
Boy. I don't want to jump on that one first. I didn't think about that.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go out on. I'm going to pick UCF on this one.
You know what, Skip? I'm thinking that. I'm thinking every other year I would. I think I might stick with the Terps on this one, man. I think the Terps are red hot.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to ride with the Terps on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Terps. I'm gonna go with the Terps.
It'd be interesting. It's at Maryland too. So, and here we got Georgia Southern at Indiana.
Indiana.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I'm in there too.
Indiana.
And here we go. Rutgers at Nebraska.
Ooh, that's a tough one, man. Yeah.
Nebraska is 1-2, and Rutgers is 1-2, and they both played top 25 teams, and they both lost.
And they battle the basement, right?
And they both lost to FCS teams.
Battle for the basement.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Nebraska. I can't.
Yeah, I got you.
Rutgers They got a little more to.
Sounds like the volleyball ball.
What was that?
That sounds like the toilet bowl.
Well, there's a battle for the basement of the Big Ten here. So yeah, I'm with you, Cove. I'm on Nebraska with that one.
Yeah, we'll go with Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm with Nebraska.
Jimmy,
all right, Rutgers versus Nebraska.
At Nebraska.
At Nebraska.
I already put you down for Nebraska.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna say Nebraska. I don't want to, but I'm gonna say Nebraska.
I know Rutgers is from Jersey, man. I know you got that East Coast. You know, you want to hold true, but hey, that Midwest ball is a bit. Hey, you can't always go against that Midwest ball.
That's the
Midwest ball.
I think it's gonna be closer to what we expect. You know, but
that could be though. That could be. Rutgers, they have been able to put up points because they got talent, but you know they just trying to put it together on a consistent basis, and that's where they've had trouble.
Sure.
So
I'm going to Nebraska.
Yeah, we're all across the board on that one. I'm the only one that stepped out so far against everybody on UCF and Maryland. But hey, now this one here is going to be. This is a game to watch. I'm telling you, Michigan at Purdue. And I want to go out on a limb on this one and pick Purdue. I'm picking Purdue. Them Boilermakers, baby. Them Boilermakers are cooking.
But on this one, I got to go with Jimmy's theory on this one. Purdue, I think, is playing serious football.
Oh, yeah.
Now. And it's not that they're not good. I just don't think they're good enough to beat Michigan.
Okay, this is where I lose my lead.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm with you on that, Big Dude.
I'm gonna go with Michigan. I need to get back into this thing.
Okay.
I gotta go.
See, I'm giving up some.
Skip got the lead, so he could try to flex a little bit. You know, he got the lead.
Let off the gas. All right, now here's a cool game, man. And usually you see this towards the end of the season, but we got Notre Dame and Michigan State. That's a tough pick.
It is. Ohio State at home is tough. Really, Irish is playing good. This is where I go out on a limb, and I say the Big Ten may make some noise with this game. I'm going to go with Michigan State.
Yeah.
I got to go with Notre Dame, man. I got to go with Notre Dame. I'm not all the way convinced, because I feel Penn State gonna get Michigan State. So I got to go. I just go with Notre Dame.
Jimmy?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's so inconsistent, though.
They are.
Ah, you right.
Well, I'm with the big dude though. I can't have a root for Notre Dame, so I'm getting Michigan State on this one.
Is at Michigan State?
At Michigan State.
Michigan State, man. That's gonna be a tough
I
one.
really like Notre Dame in this pick, man.
That's gonna be a tough one, boss. I mean, Michigan State right now, they are 2-0. So I can't knock that, but I just don't know if they are the same Michigan State that beat Ohio State a couple years ago. You know,
I'm going Michigan State.
But hey, maybe they want to bounce back. You know, maybe they want to bounce back.
I'm going Michigan State. I'm good. Michigan State.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go. You're the only one out.
Yeah, I'll stick my neck out on that. I'll stick my neck out on that.
Yeah, that's.
I'll stick my neck
And
out.
Of course, we have again. This is going to be the game. It's going to be a tough one to pick. It's Penn State at Iowa. Let's get
now before we go there, I just want to throw out a couple stats from last year. Now I know last year don't matter, but Penn State beat Iowa last year 41-14. Iowa had 30 yards rushing. Penn State had 590 yards total offense. But like we did say, it is a night game. It's away. It's at Iowa. But Iowa was down 14-10 against North Texas in the third quarter. So, I love, Iowa, and I know that they got a good plan and they're going to try to drain the clock out, and they don't want Penn State to have the ball. But, I don't know if they can handle what we got, because if they dealt with North Texas if they dealt with North Texas 14-10. Now they ended up winning 31-14, but they were down in that game. They were losing, so they lost, and it was the third quarter. So as much as I like Iowa and as much as I know that they're going to be ready and they know us inside and out, but they did struggle last year against our new offense. And we went up 41-14 against Moorhead's offense. That was the first time. So I got to go with Penn State until Iowa proves to me otherwise. I guess if I'll lead it off, I'm going to go 35-14, Penn State.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Penn State is going to win. I think, again, Penn State is going to find their way to get started. I mean, based on a number of things that you said, again, getting started, consistency. I don't know if it's a game we win that easily, but I think that we pull away. And again, like you said, hopefully we're a two-half team. And if we're a two-half team and we do what we did last time, I don't see a full – well, here's the thing. I'm not sure about the offense yet. So I would say I don't even know – I don't see them scoring more than 13 points this year, Iowa. I'm going to say, well, we're making a 29 or 30 to 13 game.
What's that again?
30 to 13 state. 17 points.
What are you thinking, Jimmy?
I like that, big dude. I'm going to have to go with Penn State. I believe that we're going to be close by halftime. I think by halftime I see the score being within 3. So whether they're ahead 3 or we're ahead 3. So whether that's like, field goals or 9 to, 6 or whether that's, 14, 9 or something like that or whatever. But I see the game being close and it's obviously under 20 by halftime. But I think Penn State pulls away in the half by the second half. And I still keep it close. I'll say 27 to 32. So let's say I think Penn State will probably put up 30 at least. So I'm gonna say 34 to 17.
Wow.
Yeah, these guys gonna give 17. Wait a minute.
I don't want them to, but I'm only thing I'm worried about is Iowa actually establishing a run against us and giving us to think about this. When you come out the first half, I'm telling you this, those players who know that last year they gave up close to 600 yards, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder.
That's a good point, Will. That's a good point.
They're going to go out there and they're going to try to,
cut that in half.
Make themselves. But then after halftime, I think we pull away. So like I said, going into halftime, I see the score being like, 14-10 or something like that. So it's still going to be close. And then even the second half, I don't think Iowa, even if we pull away 2, I think Iowa's still going to get, whether it's a return or something, some kind of kick return or something. I think something will happen. It might not be on the defense, but an interception, something's going to happen because they're going to play us tough.
Well said, Jimmy. Well, Penn State's been slow starting. We've been allowing too many yards on the ground at will, and the clock's been eaten up by teams that have just run the ball at us. My concern is accuracy with passing on the passing side.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, and I really want Penn State to win. But at Iowa with paybacks, I'm calling Iowa 28, Penn State 24.
You just trying to get caught up. You know better than that. You know better than that. That's not going to get you caught up. I see what you're trying to do.
I'm already winning. I'm giving them.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Listen, man, because you got to get blown by. You took 3 chances. You're going to put you down on that.
Oh, no, I will. Hey, man, it's a long season. No, I went out this week.
Me personally, I don't like this game.
I agree with you, Chris. I agree with you.
I wanted to come out and say, I want to pick Iowa, but given the fact that they played so poorly against Texas or North Texas last week, and they were down going into the third quarter, that's why I give Penn State the advantage.
No.
But it's gonna be a hard-fought game. I don't honestly. I see it like 27-14 or 27-20.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be a hard-fought game.
Oh yeah.
Well, it is, and I think the reason why we're going to prevail, I think is if again, you have to start looking at. We're starting to get takeaways. Right? So let's say, look at man. We didn't hardly have no takeaways, and then even though Marcus Allen, he's a hitting machine. Yeah, he just got his first interception last week. So, cause we can get guys to make big plays back there, man. And if we get to the point where we're making plays, I think that defense is going to be in a first and turnover mood. You know, and I think that's what's going to do it. Defense, first and turnovers, us getting a couple of passing drives and some short fields. I think that's going to do it. And I think at the end of the O-line, especially running behind somebody like my man Chaz Wright, that might do it altogether.
Yeah.
I really hope that's the case, man.
Yeah.
I really do. I want to, and I'd love to see it.
And you know what, though? I think this is good because we still, we're still not sure if we're overrated or if we are truly a top 5 ranked team.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're trying to understand, and that's what we're trying to deal with. Because some of us say, well, we are 5. Some of us say, well, maybe we're overrated.
Yeah.
But we have, like you said, Jim, we don't want to go into the 4th game not knowing that.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like we would prefer to go in the 4th game like Ohio State and said, look, we went against Oklahoma and they showed us all the things that we need to fix. Right now we're kind of speculating. We know that against Pitt we did have some trouble after we scored those 13 points. We were up 14-0, but we still won 34-14.
Right, but you remember Coach today on the sidelines, I mentioned he started laughing when he talked about Pitt and the shellacking they took from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, and
maybe that's letting us know, we think we
That's the red flag to me. I just see that and I'm like, whoa, man. I don't think we deserve. I think we're a top 10 team, but I don't think we're up towards the top yet.
Yeah.
With what I've seen so far. Now, I'm not saying that we can't run the table, and I hope we do. But I'm just saying we start playing some of these tough teams, man. We're getting into the thick of it now. It is going to be some hard football.
Yeah, and then my last comment on that was, maybe we do have a personnel, and Iowa just don't have enough personnel to match up. And maybe Iowa has a great game plan. Maybe Iowa has a great strategy. But maybe they just don't have enough muscle to deal with what we got. So, it might be something where they come out with a great game plan, but we might come out and blow them out. Or maybe they have enough and it is a good game. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of what we're trying to understand, because from the Pitt game, we're not all the way sure. You know what I mean? The Pitt gave us a little thorn that we're not all the way sure. So I feel like this Iowa game is going to give us more of what we want to understand and what we want to know, to see the potential or to see if we are truly a top 5 ranked team.
Well said, Yakov. Well said. I hope we're there. I hope we win.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, this has been a fast hour of college football here. We're a little late start, a little late ending, but man, this is a blast every week, and I'm so glad Yakov could be here in the studio. So if you guys have been watching online, he's been right here, and it's been a blast every week. We have more fun than we should be allowed.
Yeah.
So
anytime I could be with Skip for more than just the show, it's a great day. We got practice, we got the show. It was great. It was great, Skip.
We got Cole running for mayor.
It was great, Skip. It was great.
I know, man.
Practice. Yeah, it was great. We saw Franklin. We saw the guy on the sideline today. Yeah. We got to see the team go against the one-on-ones.
Oh, yeah.
We saw it was great.
And the thing we left out too, man, they're pumping in the sound. I mean,
well, yeah, we saw we got to experience that. And that was a little adjustment, because I do remember, Jimmy, when we were there, they used to play the noise away game. And they did that, but it sounded more like Iowa rather than just a traditional noise. You know what I mean? It sounded like they were trying to sound like the actual Iowa game, the music that they played, the chants that they sing, the Iowa song or whatever the music the band plays. So I thought that was neat. I thought that was neat to see that today.
That's old school. That's like we were doing. That's like just like we were doing. I'm glad to see.
Franklin just texted me and told me he's not a CEO.
Hey, Franklin, no, man. Hey, football, that's that. Just because we don't play don't mean we don't love the game.
That's right.
So, any chance we can get, we going to be there. We're going to be there.
Yeah, Coach will be there all the time.
We're going to be there. So, my mom was in town taking care of the family, the kids. Everybody's good to go. So I had a little extra free time. So I felt like maybe today was a day for me and Skip to, get back on it, get back on top of it. So.
Oh, that explains. Like Jimmy, that explains it. That more said you sound like you had some type of change. Yeah, he said, boy, they don't have no job. That's coach, man. That coach sounds like he's getting ready to jump off the top rope, man.
Hey, I'm just saying, man. I'm not that far away, man. If I get the time to come, this is the place I want to be. You know what I mean? This is the place I want to be.
Hey, before you know, he'll be moved here to State College. We'll get all you guys to be back here to State College.
Hey, I'm working on the grids. You already know that.
Yeah, Jimmy.
You already know that. Yeah.
So, Jimmy, we'll get you back here too. Get your family back this way. Your wife will love it, and of course, the big dude Stephen. He's thinking about it too. I'm sure. Maybe Coach Franklin can talk him into.
No. Well, first we gotta get that reunion. We gotta get that reunion in order first. I know we gotta get the reunion in order first, big dude. For you want to come back.
He said he's close enough.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I'll get there if possible. That would be cool.
Nah.
Yes, but I got a lot of here, a lot of stuff going on. I'm on campus now with these wonderful students, and see what a good Lord wants to take me there. Now, he ain't mentioned in the State College. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah.
He moves in mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yes, he does, but he did not move in that way.
Not yet.
Don't try it.
That's great. Hey, it's been a blast, guys. I really appreciate your time here. So we're going to wrap this up here. So on behalf of the Grizz, Jimmy Kennedy, Big Dude, Stephen Davis, Jacoby Israel, my name is Skip Drabelvis, and you've been listening to Lions Live. Can't wait to be back here again next week talking about a big Penn State win. So you all have a great night. Lord bless, and we'll catch you then.
All right.
Take care, fellas. Good catch up, guys.
Yeah.
Be blessed, man.
You too. And we're going to take you right back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Okay.
But did you know that the cell phone in your pocket is also to blame for your rising taxes and frustration with leading politicians? That's right. Every month, Big Mobile takes a portion of their proceeds and puts it straight into the pockets of organizations like Planned Parenthood and helps advocate for issues like sanctuary cities and gun control. I know what you're thinking. Big Mobile is the only affordable option for cell phone service. Wrong. Introducing Patriot Mobile, the only conservative cell phone company in America and the only cell phone company dedicated to funding the conservative movement. And right now, with Patriot Mobile, unlimited talk and text plans start at $20 a month. That's right, $20 a month. Call 1-800-A-PATRIOT or visit patriotmobile.com/Dana and use my name Dana to waive your activation fee. That's 1-800-A-PATRIOT or patriotmobile.com/Dana, promo code Dana to waive your activation fee. It's time to say goodbye to Big Mobile and hello to freedom.
Compelling talk with the Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at noon on the all-new WBLF, AM and FM, now at 106.3 FM.
Fox News Radio, I'm Jay Metzler in Puerto Rico's capital of San Juan. Winds from Hurricane Maria, which hit the island this morning as a Category 4 storm, knocking out power to the entire U.S. territory. Maria now a Category 2. Desperate digging in Mexico City. They're looking for survivors at a collapsed school after yesterday's 7.1 magnitude earthquake. More than 200 dead in that country. The Federal Reserve leaving a key interest rate unchanged.
My colleagues and I on the Federal Open Market Committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 1 to 1.25%.
Fed Chief Janet Yellen.
This accommodative policy should support some further strengthening in the job market and